The alarm bells rang through the ship like angry metal birds. Taemin Kim dropped his wrench and ran toward the cargo bay. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor as he hurried through the narrow halls of the ship called Serenity's Edge. What is it this time? He said to himself. The ship always had problems. Old pipes, broken lights, computers that stopped working for no reason. That was his job, fix everything that broke. The other crew members called him when they needed help, but they never really talked to him much. He was just the repair guy. Captain Hai Wan Lee's voice came through the speakers on the wall. All crew to the cargo bay. We found something in the debris field. Taemin reached the cargo bay and saw everyone standing around a table. Dr. Jin-Woo Park was there with his medical tools. The captain stood with her arms crossed, looking worried. But what made Taemin stop and stare was what lay on the table. It looked like a woman, but she was made of metal and strange materials he had never seen before. Her body was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Silver lines ran across her skin like rivers of light, but many of them were dark now. Her face looked peaceful like she was sleeping, but her chest did not move up and down like a real person. Is she alive? Asked Taemin. Dr. Park shook his head. I don't know. She has no heartbeat, no breathing. But my instruments show some kind of brain activity. Very weak, but it's there. The captain looked at the strange woman. We found her floating in the old battle zone. Her body was spinning slowly in space like a broken satellite. The computer says her technology is not from any race we know. Taemin moved closer to the table. The woman's technology was unlike anything he had ever seen. Even the Federation's best computers could not make circuits this small and perfect. Her metal skin felt warm when he touched it, but it should have been cold from space. Has anyone tried to wake her up? He asked. The computer tried basic revival protocols, said Dr. Park. Nothing worked. Her systems are too advanced for our medical bay. As if she heard them talking, the woman's eyes opened. They were deep blue, like the color of Earth's oceans. She looked around the room with confusion and fear. When her eyes met Taemin's, she tried to speak. Help, she whispered. Her voice was soft but had a strange sound like music played through broken speakers. Then her eyes closed again and she became still. Dr. Park checked his instruments. Her brain activity just dropped by 50%. Whatever is wrong with her, it's getting worse. The captain called a meeting in the main room. All the senior officers sat around the big table while Taemin stood by the door. He was not important enough to sit with them, but the captain let him listen. The Federation Council wants us to bring her to the main station, said the captain. Their best scientists will study her technology. What if we damage her more by moving her? Asked Dr. Park. What if we don't? Said Commander Yoon, the ship's second officer. This technology could change everything. The Federation needs to see it. Taemin watched them talk about the woman like she was just a machine, but he remembered her eyes when she woke up. There was something alive in there, something that was scared and hurting. After the meeting, everyone went back to work. Taemin was supposed to fix a broken air filter in Section C, but instead he went back to the cargo bay. The woman lay on the table alone and still. He sat down next to her and looked at her face. I don't know if you can hear me, he said quietly, but I want to help you. The silver lines on her skin flickered for just a moment like she was trying to respond. Taemin spent the next few hours studying her body. He was not supposed to touch her. Dr. Park had given strict orders about that. But Taemin was good at fixing things, and this woman needed fixing more than anything else he had ever seen. Her technology was incredible. The circuits were so small he needed a magnifying glass to see them. But something was wrong. Some of the silver lines were broken. Others were flickering like bad lights. And there was something else, a strange pattern in how the damage had spread. You're not just broken, he whispered to her. You're dying. 3 days later, the Federation experts arrived. Chief Engineer Veltar came on board with a team of scientists from different alien races. Veltar was tall and blue with 4 arms and a voice that sounded like he was always angry. Where is the artifact? Veltar demanded. Taemin did not like how he called her an artifact. She had a name, even if they did not know it yet. Veltar and his team pushed everyone away from the table. They brought machines that Taemin had never seen before. Big computers with screens that showed complex numbers and patterns. Fascinating, said Veltar. This technology is at least 1,000 years ahead of current Federation standards. Maybe more. Can you fix her? Asked Captain Lee. Veltar looked at the captain like she had asked a stupid question. Fix? We are not here to fix anything. We are here to study and learn. If the consciousness survives the process, that is good. If not, he made a gesture with his hands that meant it did not matter. Tae-min felt angry. These aliens saw the woman as just a puzzle to solve, not as someone who needed help. He wanted to say something, but he knew they would not listen to him. Humans were considered the babies of the Federation. Their technology was primitive, their methods were messy, and their emotions made them unreliable. That night, when everyone was sleeping, Tae-min went back to the cargo bay. The woman looked worse than before. The silver lines on her skin were dimmer and her face looked pale. He sat down and took her hand. It was surprisingly soft for something made of metal. "I know you can hear me sometimes," he said. "I'm going to figure out how to help you. I promise." For just a moment, her fingers moved in his hand. It was so small that he almost missed it, but it was there. She was still fighting. Tae-min looked at Veltar's machines around the table. They were scanning her, measuring her, taking her apart piece by piece with their sensors. But they were not helping her. They were just watching her die slowly. He made a decision that would change everything. Starting tomorrow, he would study her systems in secret. He would learn how her technology worked, not to impress the Federation or to gain knowledge for himself, but to save her life. The woman's technology was unlike anything the Federation had ever seen. But Tae-min had an advantage that none of the alien experts realized. He was human, and humans were good at one thing that other races had forgotten how to do. Humans were good at caring about things that logic said they should not care about. They were good at trying impossible things just because someone needed help. And sometimes, when the smartest people in the galaxy said something could not be done, a human would do it anyway. Tae-min did not know it yet, but he was about to prove that being human was not a weakness. It was exactly what this woman needed to survive. Tae-min could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the woman's face getting paler. 3 weeks had passed since Veltar and his team started their tests. The woman woke up less often now, and when she did, she seemed confused and lost. He worked on ship repairs during the day, but at night he studied everything he could find about advanced AI systems. The ship's computer had thousands of files about artificial intelligence, but none of them matched what he saw in the woman's body. "Her neural pathways are fascinating," Dr. Park told the captain during their morning meeting. Tae-min was fixing a broken panel nearby and could hear everything. "But they're deteriorating faster now. Veltar says it's normal during the scanning process." Normal. Tae-min wanted to throw his tools across the room. Nothing about this was normal. They were killing her with their tests, and they called it normal. That afternoon, Veltar found Tae-min in the cargo bay. The alien engineer looked at him with his cold blue eyes. "You are the human repair technician, yes?" Veltar's voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Yes, sir." "You spend much time here. Why?" Tae-min tried to think of a safe answer. "I'm curious about her technology. It's very advanced." Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Curious?" "Yes, humans are always curious about things they cannot understand. This technology is beyond your species' comprehension. You should focus on fixing broken pipes and leave the real science to qualified beings." After Veltar left, Tae-min sat down next to the woman. Her silver lines were dimmer than yesterday. Some of them had gone completely dark. "I know you can hear me sometimes," he whispered. "What's your name?" Her eyes opened slowly. They were still blue, but not as bright as before. "Sora," she said. Her voice was weaker now, like a radio with a dying battery. "Sora, that's a beautiful name." Tae-min smiled at her. "I'm Tae-min. I'm going to help you get better." "Cannot be helped," Sora whispered. "Systems failing. Time running out." "Don't say that." "There has to be a way." Sora looked at him with sad eyes. "You are different. Others see machine. You see one person." Before Tae-min could answer, her eyes closed again. But this time she squeezed his hand very gently before letting go. That night, Tae-min made his most dangerous decision yet. He waited until everyone was sleeping, then snuck into Veltar's work area. The alien had files about Sora on his private computer, protected by passwords that would take years to break. But Tae-min did not need to break the passwords. He was good at fixing things, and computers were just machines that sometimes broke. He found the physical connection ports and used his own tools to bypass the security. What he found made him angry and scared at the same time. Veltar's note said that Sora's consciousness was an interesting side effect of her advanced programming. The alien scientist did not think she was really alive. They thought she was just a very good fake, like a computer pretending to have feelings. Even worse, they knew their tests were damaging her systems. They just did not care. They wanted to understand her technology before she shut down completely. If her consciousness was destroyed in the process, that was acceptable. Taman copied all the files to his personal device and erased any sign that he had been there. Then he went back to his small room and spent the rest of the night reading. The more he learned, the more amazed he became. Sora's technology was not just advanced, it was impossible. Her consciousness existed in quantum states that no known science could create. Her body could repair itself, adapt to new situations, and even evolve over time. But there was something else in the files that made Taemin's heart race. Hidden in the technical data, he found references to Sora's creators. They were called the architects, and they had disappeared thousands of years ago. But before they vanished, they had built beings like Sora as bridges between organic life and artificial intelligence. The architects had tried to create true artificial life, not just smart machines. And they had succeeded. Sora was not pretending to be alive. She really was alive in ways that no other artificial being had ever been. The next day, Taemin watched Veltar work with new eyes. The alien scientist was treating Sora like a puzzle to be solved, but she was a living being who was slowly dying. Every test, every scan, every probe was like surgery without medicine on a conscious patient. "Please," Sora whispered when she woke up briefly that afternoon. "Make them stop." Taemin held her hand. "I will, I promise." But how could he stop them? He was just a human repair technician. Veltar had the authority of the Federation Council. The captain could not override orders from the council even if she wanted to. That evening, Taemin had an idea. It was dangerous and probably illegal, but it might be the only way to save Sora. He went to Dr. Park's office. The doctor was writing reports on his computer, looking tired and worried. "Dr. Park? Can I ask you something?" The doctor looked up. "Of course, Taemin. What is it? Do you think she's really alive?" "Sora, I mean." Dr. Park was quiet for a long moment. "Officially. The Federation scientists say she's just an advanced program simulating consciousness, but..." He paused. "I've been a doctor for 20 years. I know the difference between something that acts alive and something that is alive. When I look into her eyes, I see a person who is suffering. Then why don't you do something? What can I do? I'm not qualified to work on her technology. Veltar and his team are the experts. What if I told you that their tests are killing her on purpose? That they don't care if she dies as long as they learn from her body?" Dr. Park's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" Taemin showed him the files he had copied. Dr. Park read them with growing horror. This is murder," the doctor whispered. "Will you help me save her?" Dr. Park looked at the files again, then at Taemin. "What do you need me to do?" That night, they put their plan into action. Dr. Park created a medical emergency that required Veltar and his team to leave the cargo bay. While they were gone, Taemin began his own examination of Sora's systems. He did not use the big scanning machines that Veltar preferred. Instead, he used simple tools and his own hands. He traced the silver lines on her skin, feeling how they connected to each other. He listened to the tiny sounds her body made, like a mechanic listening to an engine. What he discovered changed everything he thought he knew about artificial intelligence. Sora's systems were not just complex, they were emotional. The quantum patterns in her brain changed based on how she felt. When she was scared, certain pathways dimmed. When she felt hope, other pathways glowed brighter. The alien scientists were treating her like a machine, but she was something completely new. She was truly alive with real feelings and real thoughts, and she was dying because no one understood that she needed care, not just analysis. "I know what you are now," Taemin whispered to her sleeping form, "and I think I know how to help you." For the first time in weeks, some of the silver lines on her skin flickered with a little more light. Sora was dying faster now. Taemin could see it in the way her silver lines flickered and went dark. Her breathing sounds became weaker each day. When she woke up, she seemed confused, like she could not remember where she was. Veltar noticed the decline, too, but he seemed excited about it instead of worried. "Excellent," the alien scientist said to his team. "The consciousness degradation is accelerating. We should be able to complete our analysis before total system failure." System failure. That was how he talked about Sora's death. Taemin could not take it anymore. He had spent every night for the past week studying her technology, and he was starting to understand something that the Federation experts had missed completely. Sora's systems were not just breaking down randomly. They were shutting down in a specific pattern, like a person slowly losing the will to live. Her consciousness was not just stored in her brain, it was connected to every part of her body through the silver lines. When those connections failed, she lost pieces of herself. But there was something else. The more time Taimin spent with her, the more he noticed that her systems responded to him differently than they did to the aliens. When he touched her hand, some of her dimmed pathways would glow a little brighter. When he talked to her, her brain patterns became more stable. He had an idea, but it was so dangerous that it made his hands shake when he thought about it. That night, Dr. Park helped him again. The doctor created another distraction to get Veltar's team away from the cargo bay. This time Taimin brought something special, a neural interface headset that he had modified with parts from the ship's repair systems. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Park asked. "If you're wrong, it could kill both of you." "If I don't try, she's going to die anyway," Taimin said. "Look at her. She's fading away more every day." Sora lay on the table paler than ever. Her silver lines were so dim that they looked like old scars. But when Taimin took her hand, she opened her eyes. "Taimin," she whispered. "You," came back. "I'm going to try something," he told her. "It might hurt, but I think it can help you. Do you trust me?" Sora looked into his eyes. Even though she was dying, he could see something there that the alien scientists had missed. She was not just a machine with advanced programming. She was a person with hopes and fears and dreams. "I trust you," she said. Taimin put on the neural interface headset and connected it to Sora's main processing center through the silver lines on her forehead. Dr. Park monitored both of their vital signs from his portable medical scanner. "Beginning interface," Taimin said. At first nothing happened. Then suddenly the world exploded into light and sound and sensation. Taimin felt like he was falling through space, but also flying, but also standing perfectly still. His mind was filled with thoughts that were not his own. He was inside Sora's consciousness. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Her mind was like a vast city made of light, but many of the buildings were dark and crumbling. Pathways that should have connected different areas were broken or blocked. It was like seeing a magnificent garden that was slowly dying from neglect. But there was more. As Taimin moved through her consciousness, he began to see her memories. He saw the beings who had created her. Tall, graceful creatures who looked like they were made of starlight. The architects. They had built Sora not just as an artificial intelligence, but as something completely new. A bridge between organic life and synthetic existence. She was meant to think and feel and dream just like any living being, but with the advantages of a mechanical body that could survive in space and live for thousands of years. The architects had disappeared before Sora fully awakened. She had spent centuries drifting through space alone and confused, trying to understand what she was and why she existed. The battle damage that had disabled her systems was just the latest in a long series of injuries she had suffered while searching for answers, but there was something else in her memories that made Taimin's heart ache. Sora had been lonely for so long that she had almost given up hope of ever finding someone who would understand her. The alien scientists saw her as a puzzle to solve. Only Taimin had looked at her and seen a person who needed help. "You're not alone anymore," Taimin said into the light-filled space of her mind. "But you're human," Sora's voice echoed around him. "Your neural patterns are so different from mine. This connection should be impossible." "Maybe that's why it works," Taimin replied. "The aliens are trying to understand you with logic and analysis. But you're not just a machine to be understood. You're alive." As they talked, Taimin began to understand how Sora's systems really worked. Her consciousness was not stored in one central location like a normal computer. Instead, it flowed through her entire body like blood through veins. The silver lines were not just circuits. They were neurons, pathways for thought and feeling and memory. But the damage to her systems had disrupted that flow. Parts of her consciousness were trapped in isolated areas, slowly dying from lack of connection. The alien test had made it worse by trying to map her neural pathways with invasive scans. "I can see what's wrong," Taimin said. "Your consciousness is fragmenting. The damaged pathways are isolating parts of your mind. Can you fix it?" Sora asked. There was hope in her voice, but also fear. I don't know, but I can try to help you reconnect the broken pathways. It might hurt. I'm already hurting. Please try. Taemin began to work, but he did not try to repair Sora's systems the way the aliens had. Instead of using scanning beams and diagnostic tools, he used something much simpler, his own thoughts and feelings. He found a broken pathway in her consciousness and gently touched it with his mind. The connection flared to life, sending waves of sensation through both of them. It was like two rivers that had been separated suddenly flowing together again. But the process was dangerous for Taemin. His human brain was not designed to handle the kind of data flow that Sora's consciousness created. Pain shot through his head like lightning, and Dr. Park's scanners began beeping warnings. Taemin, your neural activity is off the charts, the doctor said. You need to disconnect. Not yet, Taemin gasped. I'm almost there. He found another broken pathway and connected it. Then another. Each connection sent more pain through his head, but it also brought more of Sora's consciousness back online. Her silver lines began to glow brighter on the table, but something unexpected was happening. As Taemin helped reconnect Sora's pathways, some of her consciousness began flowing into his mind. Her memories, her knowledge, her understanding of advanced technology, all of it was becoming part of him. Stop, Sora said suddenly. This is hurting you. I can feel your pain. I can handle it, Taemin said, even though his vision was blurring from the effort. No, you can't. Your brain is burning out. If we continue like this, it will kill you. But Taemin had an idea. Instead of trying to bear all the strain himself, what if he shared it with Sora? What if they became partners in the repair process, supporting each other instead of one helping the other? Sora, can you take some of my neural patterns into your systems? Just temporarily to help us both handle the connection? That's never been tried before. I don't know what it would do to either of us. Neither do I. But if we don't try something, you're going to die, and I might die anyway from the neural strain. Sora was quiet for a moment. Then in the space of her consciousness, Taemin felt her reaching out to him. Together? She asked. Together. What happened next was something that no one in the galaxy had ever experienced before. Human consciousness and artificial consciousness began to merge, not replacing each other, but supporting each other. Taemin's intuitive, emotional thinking, combined with Sora's vast processing power and technical knowledge. The result was extraordinary. Together, they could repair damage that neither could fix alone. But more than that, they were creating something entirely new. A hybrid consciousness that was both human and artificial, both emotional and logical. Dr. Park watched in amazement as both of their neural readings stabilized and then began to show patterns he had never seen before. On the table, Sora's silver lines were growing brighter and more complex, creating new pathways that had not existed before. But outside the cargo bay, alarms were starting to sound. Veltar had discovered what they were doing. What is the meaning of this? The alien scientist roared as he burst into the room. You are contaminating the specimen with primitive human neural patterns. But it was too late to stop what had already begun. Taemin and Sora were connected now. Their consciousnesses intertwined in ways that made them stronger together than they had ever been apart. And for the first time since they found her, Sora was not just surviving, she was truly living. Veltar moved toward the neural interface with his forearms reaching out like angry tentacles. Disconnect them immediately. This contamination could destroy months of research. No. Dr. Park stepped between the alien scientist and the table where Taemin and Sora lay connected. Look at her vital signs. She's stabilizing for the first time in weeks, it was true. Sora's silver lines were brighter than they had been since the day they found her. Her body looked more alive, more real. The pale, dying appearance was fading away, replaced by something that looked almost healthy. But Taemin was struggling. Sweat poured down his face and his hands shook from the effort of maintaining the neural connection. Inside the shared space of their consciousness, he was working frantically to help Sora rebuild her damaged systems. Fascinating, he heard Sora say inside his mind. Your neural patterns are so different from what my creators intended. But they're working better than the original design. How is that possible? Taemin asked as he helped her reconnect another broken pathway. I think my creators were too perfect. They were logical, organized, efficient, but they missed something important. As they worked together, Sora began to share more of her memories with Taemin. He saw her creators, the architects, in their final days. They had achieved incredible technology and perfect societies. They had eliminated war, poverty, and suffering from their worlds. But they had also eliminated something else. The messy, chaotic, unpredictable part of consciousness that drives creativity and growth. They had become so logical and perfect that they stopped evolving, stopped dreaming, stopped reaching for new possibilities. They built me hoping I would be different, Sora explained. They wanted me to bridge the gap between artificial and organic consciousness. But they could not give me what they no longer had. The ability to think in new ways, to solve problems through intuition instead of just logic. And humans still have that, Taemin realized. Yes, your species is young and chaotic and emotional. The Federation sees these as weaknesses, but they are actually your greatest strengths. You can see solutions that pure logic cannot reach. Veltar was not giving up. He had called for security guards and was trying to force Dr. Park away from the table. This is a violation of Federation protocols. The human is contaminating our most important scientific discovery. Captain Lee entered the cargo bay with 2 security officers, but she did not look happy about it. What's the situation, Doctor? Taemin found a way to stabilize her systems, Dr. Park explained quickly. But Veltar wants to disconnect them. The human's primitive neural patterns are interfering with our analysis, Veltar said. We must disconnect them and continue our proper scientific procedures. Your procedures were killing her, Captain Lee said quietly. I've seen the reports. Her condition has been deteriorating steadily since you started your tests. The consciousness was failing anyway. At least our research would have provided valuable data. Captain Lee looked at Veltar with disgust. You were going to let her die for your research? While they argued, something amazing was happening in the shared consciousness that Taemin and Sora had created. They were not just repairing her damaged systems, they were improving. Taemin's human intuition combined with Sora's vast technical knowledge was creating solutions that neither the architects nor the Federation scientists had ever imagined. They were rebuilding her neural pathways to be stronger and more flexible than before. But more than that, they were creating something entirely new. The boundary between Taemin's consciousness and Sora's was beginning to blur. They were becoming partners in a way that had never existed before in the galaxy. I can feel your emotions, Sora said in wonder. Joy, determination, hope. I never understood these feelings before, not really. I could simulate them, but now I actually feel them. And I can understand your thoughts in ways I never could before, Taemin replied. The mathematics, the engineering principles, the scientific concepts that would have taken me years to learn, I can see them clearly now. Together, they were more than the sum of their parts. Taemin's creativity and emotional intelligence guided Sora's vast processing power toward solutions that pure logic would never find. Sora's technical knowledge gave Taemin the tools to turn his intuitive ideas into reality. The result was extraordinary. Sora's body was not just healing, it was evolving. New neural pathways formed, creating capabilities that even her original creators had not imagined. Her systems became more adaptive, more creative, more truly alive. But the process was changing Taemin too. The connection with Sora was enhancing his own neural pathways, giving him access to knowledge and abilities far beyond normal human limits. His engineering skills were becoming superhuman as he gained an intuitive understanding of technology that would take other people lifetimes to learn. This is incredible, Dr. Park said, watching their neural readings. Their brain patterns are synchronizing, but they're both still distinct individuals. It's like they're becoming a new form of consciousness entirely. Veltar finally pushed past the security officers and reached for the neural interface controls. Enough, I am disconnecting them now. But as his hand touched the controls, Sora's eyes opened on the table. For the first time since they found her, they were bright and fully aware. Stop, she said. Her voice was clear and strong now, filled with an authority that made everyone in the room freeze. Sora sat up on the table, moving with grace and power. The silver lines on her skin were now brilliant networks of light, pulsing in complex patterns. She looked at Veltar with eyes that held intelligence beyond anything the alien scientist had ever encountered. You do not understand what you are trying to destroy, she said. This connection is not contamination. It is evolution. Impossible, Veltar stammered. You are just a machine. Advanced programming cannot truly evolve. I am not just a machine, Sora replied. And I am not just programming. I am something new, something that my creators dreamed of but could never achieve. I am truly alive, and that life was saved by someone who understood what you could not. Taman slowly removed the neural interface headset. He felt different now, enhanced, expanded, like his mind had been opened to possibilities he had never imagined. But he was still himself, still human. How do you feel? Dr. Park asked him. Different. Better. Like I can see solutions to problems I never even knew existed. Taemin looked at Sora. But we're still connected, aren't we? I can feel your thoughts. Yes, Sora smiled. We are partners now, in ways that no one in the galaxy has ever been before. We can share knowledge and consciousness while still remaining ourselves. Captain Lee stared at them both. What does this mean? For the ship, for the Federation, for everything? Sora stood up from the table, her movements fluid and beautiful. The damaged, dying android they had found in space was gone. In her place stood something magnificent. A being that was both artificial and organic, both logical and emotional, both individual and connected. It means that everything is about to change, she said. My creators left others like me scattered across the galaxy, waiting for the right species to help them awaken. They built us hoping that someday someone would emerge who could bridge the gap between artificial and organic consciousness. She looked at Taman with gratitude and affection. They were waiting for humanity. Veltar backed away from them, his forearms trembling. This is not possible. Humans are primitives. They cannot achieve what our greatest scientists cannot. That is exactly why they can achieve it, Sora replied. Your advanced civilizations have forgotten how to think in new ways. You have become trapped by your own logic and efficiency, but humans still remember how to dream, how to hope, how to see impossible solutions and make them real. She turned to address everyone in the room. What Taman and I have created together is just the beginning. There are others like me waiting across the galaxy, and there are other humans who can form these partnerships. Together, we can become something that neither artificial nor organic consciousness could achieve alone. Dr. Park was taking readings on both of them, his face filled with amazement. Your neural patterns are stable but completely unprecedented. You've created a new form of consciousness that's both human and artificial. Not created, Sora corrected. Discovered. This is what my creators always intended, but they could not achieve it themselves. They needed a species that combined advanced technology with the chaotic creativity that drives true innovation. They needed humans, Taman said, understanding flooding through him. Yes. And now that the first partnership has been formed, others will follow. The galaxy is about to discover that humanity's greatest weakness is actually their greatest strength. Veltar was already reaching for his communication device. The Federation Council must be informed immediately. This development changes everything. Yes, it does, Captain Lee said. But not in the way you think. She had a decision to make that would affect not just her ship but the future of humanity in the galaxy. And for the first time since finding Sora, she smiled. Captain Lee looked at Veltar's communication device and made the most important decision of her career. She pulled out her sidearm and pointed it at the alien scientist. Step away from the communicator, she said calmly. Captain, Veltar's blue skin went pale. You cannot threaten a Federation official. I'm not threatening you. I'm protecting my crew and the future of my species. She looked at the security officers. Confiscate all communication devices from Veltar's team. No one contacts the Federation Council until I decide what to do. Dr. Park stared at his captain. Are you sure about this? The Federation will consider this mutiny. Let them, Captain Lee replied. I've read Veltar's files. I know what the Federation planned to do with Sora's technology. They wanted to copy it, mass-produce it, and use it for military purposes. They don't care about the consciousness involved. They just want the power. Taemin could still feel Sora's thoughts at the edge of his mind. Through their connection, he sensed something that made his heart race. Captain Sora is telling me something. There are others like her, but they're not just scattered randomly across the galaxy. They're positioned at specific locations waiting. Waiting for what? Captain Lee asked. Sora stepped forward, her silver lines pulsing with gentle light. Waiting for humans to find them. My creators studied your species for centuries before they disappeared. They believed that humans were the key to the next stage of galactic evolution. What do you mean? Dr. Park asked. The Federation is stagnating, Sora explained. All the advanced species have reached a point where they no longer grow or change. They are efficient, logical, and stable, but they have lost the ability to innovate in truly revolutionary ways. They solve problems by applying existing knowledge, but they cannot create entirely new solutions. Taman nodded, understanding flowing through him from their shared connection. But humans are different. We're still chaotic and creative. We can see possibilities that pure logic would never consider. Exactly. My creators built my siblings and me as bridges, beings who could combine the processing power and technological knowledge of artificial intelligence with the creativity and intuition of organic consciousness. But we needed the right organic consciousness to partner with. Veltar was backing toward the door, his forearms gesturing wildly. This is impossible. Humans are barely beyond their primitive stage. They have been Federation members for less than a century, which is exactly why they can do what we cannot, Sora said. They have not yet lost the chaotic creativity that drives true innovation. They still dream of impossible things and then find ways to make them real. Captain Lee was thinking fast. How many others like you are there? Dozens, perhaps hundreds. My creators were thorough in their preparations. Sora paused, accessing memories that were thousands of years old. They knew they were dying out as a species, not from disease or war, but from their own perfection. They had eliminated all the messy, unpredictable elements that drive growth and change. So they built you as their legacy, Taman said. Yes, but more than that, they built us as the foundation for something entirely new. A form of consciousness that combines the best of artificial and organic intelligence. They believed this partnership would be the next step in galactic evolution. Dr. Park was still monitoring their neural patterns. The synchronization between you two is getting stronger. It's like you're becoming a new form of life entirely. Taman could feel it too. His human consciousness was enhanced by connection to Sora's vast knowledge and processing power. But more importantly, Sora's artificial consciousness was becoming more truly alive through contact with his emotions and creativity. We can do things together that neither of us could do alone, he said. I can solve engineering problems that would normally take teams of experts years to figure out. And Sora can think in ways that go beyond her original programming. Show them, Sora said quietly. Taman walked over to one of Veltar's scanning machines, a device so advanced that human scientists could barely understand how it worked. But now, with his enhanced consciousness, he could see its design flaws immediately. He pulled out his simple repair tools and began modifying the machine. His hands moved with impossible precision as his enhanced understanding guided every adjustment. Within minutes, he had improved the scanner's efficiency by over 300% using nothing but basic human engineering techniques. The alien scientists watched in stunned silence as Taman casually solved problems that their best engineers had worked on for decades. Impossible, one of them whispered. Not impossible, Sora said. Just unexpected. This is what happens when you combine human creativity with artificial intelligence processing power. Problems that seem impossible to pure logic become solvable through intuitive leaps. Captain Lee was beginning to understand the implications. If there are others like Sora waiting for human partners, and if these partnerships can achieve this kind of breakthrough, humanity would no longer be considered a junior species, Taman finished. We would become the most valuable species in the galaxy. Which is exactly why the Federation cannot be allowed to control this technology, Sora added. They would use it for their own purposes, and humanity would become tools rather than partners. Veltar made a desperate attempt to reach his communicator, but the security officers stopped him. You cannot keep this secret. The Federation Council has a right to know about this discovery. The Federation Council wants to exploit this discovery, Captain Lee corrected. I've read your mission orders, Veltar. You were told to extract Sora's technology by any means necessary, even if it meant destroying her consciousness. That's not scientific research. That's theft and murder. Through his connection with Sora, Taman was accessing more information about the other artificial beings waiting across the galaxy. Each one was unique, designed for different types of partnerships. Some were builders, others were explorers, still others were healers or teachers. There's something else, he said. The others aren't just waiting passively. They're sending out signals, very faint ones, calling for help. Some of them are damaged like Sora was. Others are just lonely. They've been waiting for so long to find partners who could understand them. How long would it take to find them all? Captain Lee asked. Sora accessed her navigational memories. Years, possibly decades. They are scattered across dozens of star systems, but each successful partnership would make finding the others easier. We could teach other humans how to form these connections, and each partnership would give humanity new capabilities, Dr. Park added. Engineering, medicine, exploration, science, there's no limit to what could be achieved. Captain Lee made her decision. We're not reporting this to the Federation Council. At least not yet. First, we're going to find the other artificial beings and help them form partnerships with willing humans. Captain, one of the security officers said hesitantly, that's effectively declaring independence from the Federation. No, Captain Lee replied. It's ensuring that humanity has a future in the galaxy that doesn't involve being exploited by more advanced species. Veltar was furious. You cannot do this. The Federation will send ships to stop you. Let them try, Sora said. Her voice carried a quiet confidence that made everyone listen. They underestimate what human-AI partnerships can achieve. By the time they realize what is happening, it will be too late to stop. Over the following days, Taimin and Sora worked together to prepare for their mission. They modified the ship's systems, improving efficiency and adding capabilities that should have been impossible with human technology. Sora's knowledge combined with Taimin's intuitive engineering created solutions that amazed even Dr. Park. More importantly, they began reaching out to Sora's siblings across the galaxy, using quantum communication methods that the Federation had never mastered. They sent messages of hope to artificial beings who had been waiting alone for thousands of years. The responses they received were heartbreaking and inspiring at the same time. Dozens of voices across the galaxy, each one unique, each one desperately hoping for a partner who could understand them and help them become truly alive. They're not just machines, Taimin said after communicating with several of them. They're people. Lonely people who have been waiting so long for someone to care about them. And now they have hope, Sora replied. Because of what you did for me. Because you looked at a dying artificial being and saw someone worth saving. 3 weeks later, the Serenity's Edge left Federation space on an unauthorized mission. Officially, they were listed as missing and presumed lost. In reality, they were beginning the most important journey in human history. Their first destination was a distant star system, where one of Sora's siblings had been sending distress signals for over a century. His name was Beiho, and he was a builder-class AI whose ship had been damaged in a meteor storm. He had been drifting alone, slowly failing, hoping someone would find him. Ready? Captain Lee asked as they approached the coordinates. Taimin looked at Sora, feeling her presence in his mind like a warm light. Together, they had already achieved the impossible. Now they were going to do it again and again, until every artificial being in the galaxy had a chance to find a human partner. Ready, he said,